It's been 11 weeks since the U.S. and Israel launched the war on Iran, and negotiations to end the conflict have reached a deadlock. Both Washington and Tehran have rejected the terms on a potential peace deal, with threats of resuming the war. President Donald Trump slammed Tehran's latest proposal and warned that the fragile ceasefire is on life support.
After reading that piece of garbage they sent us, I didn't even finish reading it. They said, I'm not going to waste my time reading it. I would say it's one of the weakest right now. It's on life support. They understand. These are all medical people. Dr. Oz, life support is not a good thing. Do you agree?
Bad prognostic.
I would say the ceasefire is on massive life support, where the doctor walks in and says, sir, your loved one has approximately a 1% chance of living. But the plan is they cannot have a nuclear weapon. And they didn't say that in their letter.
Iran's parliamentary speaker, who is a leading member of the negotiating team, says the armed forces are ready to respond to any U.S. aggression. Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf says Washington has, quote, no alternative but to accept the rights of the Iranian people as laid out in Tehran's 14-point proposal. And let's go live now to Tohid Asadi, who joins us from the Iranian capital, Tehran. So, Tohid, what more did we hear from the Iranian parliament speaker on all of this?
Well, actually, when it comes to the gist of the matter, what we hear from the Speaker of the Parliament, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, who was the head of Iranian negotiating delegation, is on the basis of a two-sided statement that we have been constantly hearing from Tehran on the basis of readiness for negotiations, but not under dictated terms and imposed conditions, and simultaneously, on the other hand, the readiness for military confrontation, the warning that he was trying to imply when it comes to the potentiality of such a confrontation down the road. And similar to that, we've got it from the Speaker of the Army the other day, talking about surprises when it comes to such a scenario, new weapons, new plans of war, new arenas of war. These are things that Iranians are talking about. But speaking of the parallel line of negotiations, we know that what takes place in Tehran is surrounded by a cloud of mistrust when it comes to any rapprochement or engagement, diplomatically speaking, with the United States. First and foremost, they want to sort of make sure that war is not going to happen again, and that is perhaps topping the list of priorities for Tehran, to make sure that they receive sufficient security guarantees not to get into the trap of a vicious circle of war, then a ceasefire, or actually peace for a very limited period of time, then another round of confrontation. And to that also, we have to add that, speaking of negotiations, we know that there are too many untangled knots, and two sides are poles apart. If we compare the proposals by the American side and by the Iranian side, we can understand that differences of opinion are clearly out there. Whether diplomacy can resolve all these sticking points, in addition to these, let's say, lack of trust and difference of opinion, is something that we have to keep waiting.
And all of those things being equal, Tohid, there's a lot of people on the outside looking in who think this standoff can't go on forever. Do we have any sense about how much this ongoing U.S. naval blockade, for instance, which has been a big sticking point in these negotiations, is affecting Iran's economy on the inside?
Well, frankly speaking, this is not just a blockade. We know that the naval blockade is putting a certain amount of negative impact when it comes to Iran's imports. But to that also, we have to add the war impact. And on that, I was talking to different people. And the thing is that there is this psychological impact of the war, the frustration over a repetition of confrontational scenario, which are all putting impact on the market and the livelihoods of people. But still added to that is the very destructions caused by war. For instance, we know that Fulad Mubarakeh, which is one of the most, or perhaps the most important steel company, was targeted, and that is putting a lot of impact on interrelated supply chains when it comes to big appliances, when it comes to automobile industry and other industrial segments. We see the impact, and that is being very quickly translated into increase and surge in prices. And also I was just covering a story on food price, which according to the statistical center of the country experienced again another tough increase. All in all, this means pressure when it comes to people's pockets. And of course, we also see a mixture of different sentiments, a sort of hope for potentiality of diplomacy that is existing among limited group of people. Also, the sentiment, and I would say a very strong sentiment of resilience and resistance. Over the nights from the very beginning of the war, we are seeing gatherings across the city in different locations to show us the support and solidarity and to express this sense of resilience when it comes to this complicated situation. Still, we are dealing with, as I told you earlier, a mixture of different sentiments overshadowed by this strong sense of uncertainty.
All right, Al Jazeera's Tohid Asadi reporting live for us from Tehran. Tohid, thank you.